Very good morning. You're watching News 9 with me, Deepak. Now, a day that started with despair for Indian nationals in Iraq ended on a bright note. A special Air India plane has taken off from Erbil in Kurdistan with the nurses. Now, the nurses had been forcibly taken from Tirkit to ISIS stronghold Mosul, sparking fear that they have been kidnapped. Now, a special Air India plane reached Erbil in Kurdistan late Friday evening to bring back the nurses who are from Kerala. Now, the flight is expected to land directly in Kochi this morning before returning to Delhi. The ISIS gunmen drove the nurses to a location not far from Erbil, about 80 kilometers from Mosul, in a bus. Now, Indian officials were already in Erbil to receive them. The swift release suggested there could have been behind-the-scenes negotiations with one of the most hardened jihadi outfits. However, the government, which had sent the officials beforehand to Erbil, refused to part with operational details, saying that more lives were at stake and that the job was only partly done. Now, great news coming in. The nurses which were expected to be kidnapped now have been brought back to India. Now, they will be coming back in a special Air India flight. They'll be arriving at Kochi later today and then they'll be taken to Delhi. Now, the government do not want to release any more details, claiming that there may be more lives at stake, and they do not want to make any claims as of now. As we all know, the nurses were held in a location, a hidden location by the ISIS group. The ISIS gunmen drove the nurses to a location. It was not far away from Erbil. It was about 80 kilometers from this place called Mosul, and they were taken away in a bus. Now, the Indian officials were already in Erbil to receive them. The swift release suggested that there could have been behind-the-scenes negotiations with one of the most hardened jihadi outfits. So, great news coming in early this morning. The nurses, which were feared to be kidnapped by these men, the ISIS group, are already on a flight, and they're probably going to land in Kochi anytime soon. They're being brought back in a special Air India plane. They're being brought back from Erbil, which is in Kurdistan. So totally about 46 nurses being brought back. The government still being mum about the negotiations and the behind-the-scenes negotiations which was happening with the jihadi outfits. Now, the government, which had sent officials beforehand to Erbil, refused to part with any operational details, saying that more lives were at stake and the job was only partly done. So the government staying mum as of now, but 46 nurses being brought back. So this is great news coming in early morning. These nurses, which were feared to be kidnapped by the ISIS outfit, are being brought back on a special Air India flight. Now, we as Indians boast of our rich historical heritage to the whole world. But do we really value what has been handed down to us over the generations? The answer lies in this story.
This is the Devanahalli Fort. Constructed in the 15th century in the Avati village of Devanahalli, this fort was the brainchild of Ranabhaire Gowda. Over the centuries, the fort was controlled by the Mysore Wadiyars, Hyder Ali and even Tipu Sultan. One trip here and you will realize why this fort played such an important role in defending empires over the centuries. An engineering marvel, this fort was not only impenetrable, it also provided the perfect vantage point for the one in control of it. However, fighting against the forces of nature for over 500 years has weakened the fort. Call it the neglect of our netas or result of irresponsible officials. This historical fort is not one step short of turning into a pile of rubble. Garbage strewn here and there, cracked walls begging for restoration. This is how we value our rich heritage. Did the fort stand strong for 5 centuries just to turn into a dump yard and shelter for drunkards? Well, if the attitude of the officials in the past is some hint, then they would probably end up playing the blame game till the fort crumbles before their very eyes.
ಅದನ್ನು ಉಸ್ತುವಾರಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಇಲಾಖೆ ಇದೆ, ಆರ್ಕಿಯಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಅವರು ಏನೇ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವರನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಪುರಸಭೆಯಿಂದ ಏನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಸ್ವಚ್ಛತೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಅದು ನಾವು ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ನಡೀತಾನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಉಸ್ತುವಾರಿ ಒಂದು ಇಲಾಖೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
These windows that once served as strategic vantage points for archers are now crumbling away. Sculptures that once adored the outer walls of the turtle-shaped fort are destroyed beyond repair. The fort now only serves as meeting point for the city loafers by day and as a drinking spot for alcoholics by night. And all the government has done is post a few signposts outside the fort.
ಈಗ ಅದು ಅದನ್ನು ಪುರಸಭೆ ಮತ್ತು ಆರ್ಕಿಯಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಸರ್ವೆ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಅದನ್ನು ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟದನ್ನು ಅದು ಹಿಂದಿನಿಂದ ಬರುವಂಥ ಆ ಮಾನ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ನ ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನು ರಿಪೇರಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಭಾಳ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛವಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬಂದರೆ ಅದು ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಅದು ಗಮನ ಕೊಡದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಅದೇನಂತಂದರೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಗೆ ಈ ಕೋಟೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಕನಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪುಸ್ತಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೋಡೋಂಥ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
A little responsibility shouldered by officials can go a long way in restoring the historical monument to its former glory. Or would we rather wait till a 500-year-old asset turned into a pile of stones instead? Manjunath for News9, Devanahalli.
Now, while many farmers are preparing for a new season of sowing and tilling, hundreds of farmers have profited in lakhs from a recent harvest. With their crops fetching more than double the rates this year, Arekanat farmers in Karnataka couldn't have been happier. Take a look.
Chennagiri in Davangere is home to hundreds of farmers whose first crop of choice is arecanut. It is widely cultivated on the 45,000 hectares of farmland here. Though profits have been moderate these past few years, it has touched sky high this time. Almost all farmers have made a profit in lakhs and they have the government to thank.
ಅಡಿಕೆ ರೇಟು ಯಾಕೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಐತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಇದು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಅಂದರೆ ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಬರೋಂಥ ಅಡಿಕೆಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನವರು. ಆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕೋದ್ರಿಂದನೇ ಇದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೋಭಾವನೆ. ಈ ರೈತರುಗಳೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಯಾರೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಇದೇ ಥರ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ಮುಂದೇನೋ ರೈತರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೇ ಥರನೇ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ಅನಿಸಿಕೆ.
Davangere is the first place arecanut traders turn to during the harvest season. It is not just farmers but also the two major cooperative societies in Chennagiri which have benefited from the bumper sales this year. The godowns are stacked with hundreds of sacks of harvest, which is fetching the farmers more than twice the rates they received last year.
ಹೋದ ವರ್ಷ ಇದೇ ಟೈಮ್ಗೆ ಅಡಿಕೆ 20,000 ರೇಂಜಲ್ಲಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಇದೇ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರೇಟು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡು ರೈತರುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾರ್ಕಂತ ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ರು. ಸೊ ಈ ರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾರ್ಕಂತ ಬಂದರು. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ರೇಟು ಎಂದು ಯಾರೂ ನೋಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದೇ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮು 50 ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಅಡಿಕೆ. ಸೊ ಮುಂಚೆ ಎಲ್ಲ 20-23 ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಈಗ 10 ವರ್ಷದ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ. ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಮಾತ್ರ 50 ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
While the rate last year was around 21,000 rupees per quintal, this year it has crossed 50,000 rupees. Many are getting well over 56,000 rupees for each quintal of arecanut. It looks like the rampant arecanut sales this year have profited not just the farmers but alcohol outlets as well, because many across the district are celebrating the rich harvest by drinking. The alcohol outlets are making a huge profit this year. While arecanut sales spelt good news for many, it brought bad luck for some. The cops have recently arrested a gang which reportedly attacked farmers who were returning home with lakhs of rupees in cash. These people you see here threatened a farmer with deadly weapons and made away with 50 lakh rupees in cash, but they clearly didn't make it too far. Though Chennagiri is the second largest producer of arecanut in the state after Kaduru of Chikmagaluru, a profit like this is a first for the district in years. But according to the ones for whom farming has been more of an inheritance than just a profession, they have stated that though the rates this year have brought huge profits, it is nowhere close to bringing them peace.
ಮುಂದಿನ ದಿನಗಳಿಗೆ ಇದೇ ರೇಟು ನಮಗೆ ಇದು 1 ವರ್ಷ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮಳೆ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಕಡಿಮೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 4 ರಿಂದ 5 ವರ್ಷ ಈ ರೇಟ್ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು. ಆವಾಗ ರೈತರು ಸಾಲ ಮುಕ್ತರಾಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ತುಂಬ ರೈತರು ಸಾಲಗಾರರೇ. ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ 50,000 ಸಿಕ್ತು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ರೈತರು ತಲೆ ತೊಳ್ಕೊಳಲ್ಲ. ಕಡಿಮೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 4 ರಿಂದ 5 ವರ್ಷ ಈ ರೇಟ್ ಇರಬೇಕು.
Many farmers have taken loans and some are even burdened with the ones taken by their parents. They have stated that rates like these need to continue for at least 5 more years for them to finally have peace of mind. But it is not just the land of arecanut that has profited from the harvest this year. While the arecanut farmers in Chennagiri have received over 50,000 rupees for each quintal, in Karwar it is more than a whopping 62,000 rupees.
ಕೆಂಪಡಿಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಸಾಧಾರಣ 60,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿಗಷ್ಟು ಈ ದಾಖಲೆ ದರವನ್ನು ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಚಾಲಿ ಕೂಡ 15-14,000 ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಈಗ 34,000 ದಾಟಿ ದಾಖಲೆಯನ್ನು ಈವರೆಗಿನ ದಾಖಲೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ.
Until last month, each quintal of arecanut fetched an average of 27,000 rupees, but now it is being sold upward of 62,000 rupees. The harvest this year calls for loud celebrations for farmers because the majority faced severe losses last year due to various reasons like crop diseases and a huge drop in rates. The rates have been on a steep rise this past week. Each day, areca nut rates have been increasing by about 5,000 rupees. But in this case too, the farmers' profits have been marred with rumours of middlemen making a bigger profit. Either way, it looks like all their losses have been compensated with more than double the rates this year.
ಹಿಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಳೆ ಭಾಳ ಬಂದು ಅದರೊಳಗಂತೂ ಕೆಂಪಡಿಕೆ ಅಂತೂ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಕೊನೆಗೌಡರ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಕೂಲಿಯವರ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿ ಅಡಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಕೆಂಪಡಿಕೆ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೇ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ರೇಟನ್ನು ನಾನು ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಭಾಳ ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದಲ್ಲದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯವರಿಗೂ ಭಾಳ ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿದೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ.
For several farmers, this is the first time they are seeing such high rates in their lifetime. Well, the areca nut harvest has definitely brought smiles on the faces of many. With Sandeep Sagar in Karwar, Basavaraj Doddamani in Davangere for News9.
Now, crabs become the favorite food of residents of Kodagu during the monsoons. The streets of Kodagu are teeming with traders selling these crabs. Take a look.
The hills of Kodagu are receiving heavy rainfall. The markets, however, are teeming with traders who are selling something rare for the people. Freshwater crabs are being sold in every street of the hill district. The people of the district have crab meat in the monsoon season to keep themselves warm. The market is a sight to behold. The crabs are tied in groups of 200 and sold. The crabs are caught by inducing it to take a bite at a slice of meat tied to a thread. In the market, there are more people buying crabs than any other meat. The residents believe that the meat helps them in increasing the body's immunity.
ಮಳೆಗಾಲದ ವಿಶೇಷ ಖಾದ್ಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಳೆಗಾಲ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸಿಗೋದು ಇದು ತಿನ್ನೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಆರೋಗ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಉತ್ತಮ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡಗಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗೋದು ಅಪರೂಪ, ಹೊರಗಿನಿಂದ ತರ್ತಾರೆ ಇದನ್ನ.
This switch in the dietary habits of the people of Kodagu during the monsoons has made the crab trade a thriving business in the district. The traders are indeed happy that their hard work in capturing the crabs is paid off by the huge rush in the market. Manjunath KN, News9, Madikeri.